guys, this is your SoCal fishing forecast for Thursday, August 26th. Welcome to the Chasing Pelagics channel, bringing you the latest, greatest information off the water every Thursday. If you haven't been here before, make sure you check us out, subscribe to the channel, and let's take a quick look at what's going on. First and foremost, quick look at our weather here. Pretty steady summertime conditions finally over the last couple days or few days. We got out of that muggy stuff that was going on and back into the summertime flow. We're going to start out with the far view on windy.com here, just checking out the patterns. We got some tropical activity down here that rapids up into a pretty sweet little hurricane from what this is looking like over the next few days. Now what does that mean for us? We could potentially get some more of that tropical moisture back later on in the week as this thing forms up. Again, these charts are way far out and 100 zillion things changing between now and then. So take them for what they are as a trend, but the direction of this thing and the intensity of it could definitely change. And it looks like it's already changing. So this thing this morning was actually missing Cabo and was significantly more west. And we got this little thing going on the Gulf over here too. So we'll keep an eye on everything, but we'll see how this thing acts. I'm really interested in it. This thing has definitely changed since this morning already. So, like I said, you can't breathe 100% accuracy into what's going on, but at least get an idea of the trend. But as this thing slides up the coast here, usually it kind of ramps up the fish and kind of gives them a little pat on the butt and usually makes them slide up a little quicker. So I like that it's coming right up through this channel right here off Baja. So a good chance you're probably going to see some activity from this. Of what actually happens, who knows, but that's the pattern that we got for now. So maybe that'll give a little boost to those yellowfin that haven't quite been as thick as we were hoping so far this year. Into our local water, wind pattern, pretty calm. And then we get a little boost on the outside of wind Thursday, Friday. So if you're heading outside, make sure you check it out. If you're on your own private boat, good chance that wind swell is going to be up and it'll be a little bit more bumpy for you. And then it quickly dies out into the weekend. Saturday, Sunday, looking pretty nice. I expect a little bit of leftover lump, and we got some long period swell from the south as well. Nothing serious, 2 to 3 feet. So we'll kind of see what happens here, but obviously always check this stuff out before you head out on your own boat. Talked about our tropical little thing going on here. Here's our marine forecast for those outer waters, 10 to 15 knots, gusts to 20 for tonight. Thursday, you're going to have the stuff left over. Wind waves 3 feet. Northwest wind swell 2 to 3 feet at 7 seconds, so pretty tight together. Smaller boats are not going to like that, heading in that direction. So be advised, this weekend's looking a lot better. Still northwest, 2 to 3 feet. Hopefully this will dump down a little bit more, but that's what we're looking at for now. We finally got some charts to look at now that that cloud cover is broken. And you can see the trend that we got going on here. Still warmer waters on the inside, which is great. Cooler waters on the outside. Typically, I like to see this temp-break line slide a little bit more east, and it'll help keep these fish a little bit closer. But it's pretty far out here right now at the moment. So maybe when those northwest winds kick up, some of these outer waters will cool down. It'll help some of this far offshore fishing slide in a little bit closer. But for the moment, you kind of get the idea. Pretty much 70 to 72 degree water here on the inside. We still have this little coastal cooler condition going on here. This is a 3-day chart, not the 1 day. I don't think the 1 day really helps us that much either. But you get the idea. The trend is definitely there. So keep that in mind. Quick look at our chlorophyll chart. This is really going to be the tail of the tape as far as our fishing goes. So let's start off with that. Newport Beach, LA Harbor, platforms. This area really hasn't seen a whole lot of activity offshore in the last 5-6 days. So nothing too much going on there. Catalina. Things are definitely looking up at Catalina. I actually really like the little bite that we got going on here at the moment. The last few days, we've had some good size yellowtail, backside, west happening. All fly line sardine. I mean, occasional throw yo-yo. If you're having trouble getting bit and you're seeing the fish, slide down to 20 pound. But good grade fish on this side, anywhere 10 to 20, 25 pounds. That's working really well. And you're seeing the same thing over here on the front side. The fish are a little bit smaller on the yellowtail side, but both sides now, you're seeing that smaller grade bluefin kind of hang close to the island in the current. And most of that stuff is 8 to 20 pounds, and it's going to be more of that finicky finesse fishing again, 12 to 20 pound tests, number 2 and number 4 size hooks on fly line sardines. So really finicky stuff. You just got to be patient with it. I know we all like to pull on big fat tunas and wrestle them in, but the smaller stuff, you really just need to lighten that drag, be a little bit patient with them, which is really hard for me to do personally, and grind them in slowly but surely, and put them on the boat. That's really what is going on at Catalina, but I like the activity. This is a little bit closer to home for those guys that don't want to go far west. And you got a little bit of shadow here to help you out too with the wind earlier this week. So coastal fishing. We have this kind of arch here going on with the chlorophyll. And we've been seeing signs of tuna and kelps and everything kind of along this arch here as well. Kelp patty fishing is really something that you're just going to have to put your time in and use those binoculars or gyros, whatever you got. And you're gonna have to check a lot of them. That stuff's out there, but there's been really excellent Dorado and yellowtail fishing off these patties this year. The most Dorado I've seen since probably El Nino, I think. There's actually more Dorado than yellowtail, which is pretty surprising. And I mean, there still is some yellowfin. It's starting to show up more and more each day. But really the Dorado takeover, which is usually like the last thing to show up with skipjack, has kind of been the main story off the kelps this year so far. And that's really awesome. I really like catching Dorado. Fun to catch, jump out of the water. You don't need super heavy stuff for this stuff. And cruise around. But by doing this type of fishing, you need to be trolling. Sealer plugs, halcos, troll some feathers. You don't need the jumbo, super heavy stuff. No super big lures. Just, the small 4 to 6 inch feather or smaller rapalas. Usually do the trick. You don't need to sneak up on these patties, okay? If there's fish on them, you can drive right by them while you're trolling. And if they're there, they'll typically bite. If you happen to see them, they're not biting, then maybe stop and mess with them for a little bit. But generally, if they don't bite in the first minute you're on that patty, they ain't going to bite at all. And that's just usually how it goes. You might see them dance around, and you can spend all day staring at some bull Dorado swimming by your boat. But usually they either cooperate or they don't. So if they don't, keep moving on. But generally, if there's fish on that patty, there's generally fish on a patty pretty close by as well. So keep that in as a trend. But we've been seeing really good action from the 289, kind of around this arch and below. There's been some tuna mixed in here, as close as like 6 or 7 miles dead south of Dana, inside of the 269, 279. So that stuff is around. It's just not in huge volumes. If you see it, it's probably going to be finicky. Spend some time on it if you want to, but generally the stuff that's close to shore seems to be sinking out here pretty quick. So hopefully, as the trend has been continuing, the bluefin has kind of been sliding more west, and the exotics of yellowfin, Dorado, and other kelp patty fish have been kind of sliding up. And hopefully that trend continues, because we've pretty much had good kelp patty fishing in this general area for the better half of all of August, which is pretty great. Let's talk about below the border while we're here. Coronado Islands, the yellowtail fishing is flat out just the way it should be. Pretty damn solid. Most of the action today seemed like it was the middle grounds, but this stuff moves around day to day, so don't get hung up on just fishing one of the 2 islands or the middle grounds. Just, you got to put your time in, maybe slow troll some sardines or some mackerel, pay attention to bird schools. But Coronado Islands are doing their thing as a staple of San Diego, as they always have been. So good to see that going on. And then let's talk San Clemente Island. There's been good yellowtail fishing at the island. We talked about this, how stubborn the island was earlier on this year. May, June, we saw this stuff here, and there's plenty of volume, just didn't want to go. And now through August, it's like a light switch, it turned on. So the action around the island has been pretty solid. The conditions are the most important thing here. You need to be finding current, clean water, and look for signs like birds hitting the water, maybe a couple boils here and there. You have to put your time in, find a good spot that's got conditions. Maybe the fish come to you. Maybe you got to go find the fish. Again, slow trolling stuff is another way to locate it while you're looking. But stuff's been biting in pyramids, stuff's been biting on the front side. The 9 bits a day, the dunes bits a day, all that stuff has been biting. So you just got to put your time in, find those conditions, and the staple island fishing at San Clemente is doing its thing as well. Now let's talk about bluefin. As I mentioned before, there is still random bluefin mixed in here and there. Just, I mean, not in good big numbers or anything. You see generally the smaller stuff over here on the inside if you happen to see it. Outside, as I mentioned in last week's forecast, things are going to probably start settling in as they slide west. And I left a note in the comments that we were fishing northwest of San Clemente Island. And if you look here at this chart, let's switch back to the temp break that we were talking about. Got this temp break. They were as far as the 711, as high as the 499. Seems like they're still kind of in this area here. So, I mean, this is a 3-day chart. This stuff is going to move around. Use your temperature gauge on your boat as you're moving. Take notes of where the temperature changes. And usually you're going to find fish along that temp break. Hence the name tempbreak.com. That's what it's there for. But speaking of tuna, there's still some tuna here against the island. It's the smaller grade stuff. Not quite as small as Catalina, but expect that it could be, and you might have to use the same techniques. Go down to the thinner stuff. But the stuff that I've been seeing has mainly been about 20 pounds, not so much the really small stuff. It's been at the quarry, but generally speaking, it's been pretty good as well. So you have to spend the time on it. Guys that are fishing out west over here, daytime action 30 to 80 pounds. And you know into fall that we're here in fall when the big boys are finally starting to show up. A couple super cows, that's tuna over 300 pounds for the people that don't know what those are, have been caught this week. And the most of the stuff is being caught either nighttime on the jigs, which we told you would be happening again with the full moon, of which it did, or daytime on flying fish is really for the bigger grade stuff. Now, you can still catch these 30 to 80 pound stuff on fly lines during the day or tossing jigs at foamers, doing the typical daytime stuff. But nighttime is when you need to fish that heavy rope using jig leaders like what's available in our online store. You can find that in the comments as well. And really, at night, like I said, you can just fish rope, fish the heavy stuff, and don't even give them a chance to break you off. Daytime, frequent flyer lures working. Also, flying fish live or frozen and spread wings is working. Anything that resembles a flying fish is going to be working for the most part. And the trick to this stuff, guys, is stay away from the fleet. Find your own little area of water, find some meter marks, or drag a yummy on your way up here. And if you happen to find something that's working, stop. Hang out for a bit. Put it to work. These fish are always finicky, and the best way to target them and to get them to bite so you're not around a bunch of boats and they think that you're the only thing out there. That's why you're using the kite. So that's it for this week, guys. Stay safe on the water. I'll be out on Sunday, hopefully trying to bag one of these bigger bluefin. We'll see what happens and if the conditions cooperate. But that's it. See you guys. Cheers. If you like what you saw today, you can subscribe to our channel or follow us along on Instagram and Facebook. And always remember, share the stoke.